Hello there, my name is Hido and welcome to the Pantheon, where in Strad, it's dredged up. There's some terrible things in its, history, but Jadar! See, it's like a surprise. Jadar! Christ. That is a good enough reason, in my opinion, to play this commander all together, every time you bring it to the table. Jadar! I've brought it here. So, what does Jadar, Ghoulcaller of Nephalia, have to offer us? Well, he's a 2-mana 1/1. And he's a human wizard. Ooh, pretty good. At the beginning of your end step, if you control no creatures with Decayed, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token with Decayed. So Decayed basically means that after it attacks, at the end of your combat step, you sacrifice it. And it can't block. So it's, constantly spitting out little tokens that we can use for different things. Maybe sacrifice them, use them to sort of further our own needs. And this card, it's cool. A constant stream of little idiots. Who doesn't love that? It is a bit slow, but, it's a 1/1. Jadar could be skull clamps, you never know. And then the decayed creatures. The fact that they bring themselves to the graveyard is really, really good, to be honest, because you don't have to rely on having sacrifice outlets on the field. So, quite cool. If you like these videos, please do subscribe. I'm going to make one for every single legendary creature ever printed, ever and ever. Amen. Until I die. But no, we'll not talk about that at the moment. Without further ado, let's have a look at my top 5 for Jadar. And in at number 5, well, what have we got? Well, we've got Ophiomancer. And this card is a souped up version of Jadar. 3 mana for a 2/2 at the beginning of each upkeep, not just our own. If you control no snakes, put a 1/1 black snake creature token with Death Touch onto the battlefield. So that is phenomenal. We're getting tons of value. And with all the sacrifice outlets that we're going to end up putting into the deck, this can just generate tons of value. And it's, it's Jadar in all but name. And, actually it's a bit better because the tokens have Death Touch and they can block. So this is just a great auto-include in the deck. It's really, really nice. Then we've got Death Tyrant. I've just realised I've put Death Tyrant in twice, but by God, is it incredible. 5 mana for a 4/6, Beholder Skeleton, Menace, 4/6. 4/6, 4/6. Whenever an attacking creature you control or a blocking creature an opponent controls dies, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. You pay 6 to return it from your grave into the battlefield. That's a constant recursion. The awesome thing is, as I said with Decayed, we sacrifice them at the end of combat. So even if our opponent doesn't block our tokens, they're going to die in combat and trigger Death Tyrant. So we're going to get a nice little 2/2 out of the deal. Really, really good. And also, if we're forcing our opponents to, block, maybe one of our Death Touch snakes is getting in there, they block, we're going to get a 2/2 zombie out of the deal as well. Then there's Liliana Dreadhorde General, another great way of creating tokens. 6 mana, 6 loyalty Planeswalker. Whenever a creature controlled dies, draw a card. That includes our decayed tokens. So we're going to get a lot of card draw and advantage there. +1, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Nice. Each player sacrifices 2 creatures for -4, and each opponent chooses a permanent they control of each permanent type and sacrifices the rest. If you don't win from that position, by God, build a new deck. Although you've bought this thing, so hopefully you've bought some other, cool playables. But a good way of making tokens, nice bit of card advantage. Then we've got Lolth, the Spider Queen. 5 mana, 4 loyalty Planeswalker. Whenever a creature you control dies, put a loyalty counter on Lolth, Spider Queen. So with all of our 2/2s that are going to be dying at end of combat, that'll enable us to get some loyalty up there. 0, draw a card and lose a life. Okay, pretty nice. A little static bit of card advantage. -3, create 2/1 black spider creature tokens with Menace and Reach. That's pretty phenomenal, to be fair. I love the amount of effects that you have. Reach is great for defending our Planeswalker. And then Menace as well, if we're getting in there for a bit of damage. This card just does loads of stuff. Then finally, -8, you get an emblem with, whenever an opponent is dealt combat damage by 1 or more creatures you control, if their player lost less than 8 life this turn, they lose life equal to the difference. So we can just chip in with a little pingers, little attacks for 1, and then it's going to round it up to 8. And getting to 8 loyalty isn't that hard because whenever a creature you control dies, so if we have a ton of creatures die at once, well, we get a loyalty counter for each of them. So the turn that loyalty comes in could potentially ultimate her. Then a big, massive army of zombies here with Army of the Damned. 8 mana for a sorcery. Create 13 tapped 2/2 black zombie creature tokens and flash back for 10 mana. So, you know, potentially 26 creatures, potentially 52 power on the field. Christ, I'm going to die. But this card is wonderful in the deck, you know, and I build a sort of little zombie sort of tribal aspect into it, especially with things like Vizier of the Scorpion. 3 mana for a 1/1 when it enters the battlefield, and mass 1, so you create a 0/0 black zombie army token and put a 1/1 counter on it. Or if you have an army already, you put the token on that. And that is a zombie in addition to its other types. Army. Then zombie tokens you draw Death Touch, which includes the decayed tokens we have and all other zombie tokens we can have. And having Death Touch on our army is pretty goddamn good because people aren't going to want to block it, are they really? Death Touch, you know, just our decayed 2/2 zombie that's going to die anyway is going to kill one of their creatures. Very nice include. And then finally, Field of the Dead, which mono black, you know, famous for Cabal coffers, things like that. We're going to have a lot of non-basic lands in the deck, so this has a distinct possibility of triggering. Field of the Dead enters the battlefield tapped and taps for colours. Whenever it or another land enters the battlefield under your control, if you control 7 or more lands with different names, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. And the cool thing about playing stuff like this in a mono-coloured deck, well, you're going to run, you know, half snow-covered swamps, half regular swamps, and that will tilt someone into oblivion. They'll be absolutely furious with you, and it's brilliant. Then let's have a look at my number 4 pick. So at number 4, we've got Dark Prophecy. So our tokens are going to be dying, and we're going to have a lot of other things dying. And this card is brilliant, although it can kill you in a lot of ways. 3 mana for enchantment. Whenever a creature controlled dies, you draw a card and lose 1 life. That's not a may. You can't say no to that. You have to draw the card. You have to lose the life. So if you've built up a massive army, you know, those 26 2/2s I was just talking about, well, they all die. You draw 26 cards. Hey! You lose 26 life. Boo. That could distinctly kill you. So you have to be careful with this card. But there's so much raw power in it. And it's 3 devotion to black. Incredible. But another couple of great ways to draw cards. Oh, there he is. There's Death Tyrant once again. Erebos Bleak-Hearted. 4 mana for a 5/6 with Indestructible. As long as devotion to black is less than 5, Erebos isn't a creature. So with just the Dark Prophecy, we're almost online. Whenever another creature you control dies, you may pay 2. If you do, draw a card, and that includes our tokens with Decayed. Pay 2, sacrifice another creature. So all of the 2/2s we're going to make, and you know, all those sort of things. A great sacrifice fodder. Target creature gets -2, -1 until end of turn. So another great bit of removal. This card just works fantastically in the deck. And if you've got the devotion, it becomes a nice 5/6. Then we've got Species Specialist. 4 mana, 2/3. When it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. We're going to be choosing Zombie, I do believe. Whenever a creature with a chosen type dies, you may draw a card. Excellent way of just getting through the deck. And that is a may, so you're not going to end up killing yourself if all your zombies die. We've talked about you. Goodbye. Then, here's another great way of drawing cards, thanks to the fact that our creatures are zombies. Undead Augur, 2 mana for a zombie wizard. 2/2. Whenever it or another zombie you control dies, draw a card and lose 1 life. So yes, we could run into the sort of negative of, you know, killing ourselves with this card, but we're going to get so much advantage from the decayed zombies and just keep swinging in there. Very, very cool card. Then, I was talking about zombies having Death Touch. Here is another great way of doing it with Death Baron. 3 mana for a 2/2 zombie wizard. Skeletons you control and other zombies you control get +1/+1 and have Death Touch. So we're going to have a 3/3 decayed that has Death Touch. People won't want to block it, so we can just keep chipping in there with the damage. Then we're going to be having a lot of zombies enter the battlefield, so Noxious Ghoul is brilliant. 5 mana, 3/3. Whenever it or another zombie enters the battlefield, on all non-zombie creatures get -1/+1 until end of turn. However, this card is cool, but our commander is a 1/1 human wizard. So when he makes a zombie, he's going to kill himself. This is a great card to play if your commander's died, it's in the graveyard or wherever. This is a great card to just get out there, and when you're throwing zombies about, you can just wipe the board of everything else. Although it does kill our commander every single time he makes a decayed zombie, which isn't the best, but it's still... No, it's just not that good. Anyway, that brings me on to number 3. And at number 3, well, a couple of sacrifice outlets, and Yawgmoth Thran Physician is probably one of the best because it draws us cards. 4 mana for a 2/4 human cleric, protection from humans. So Jadar couldn't be equipped onto him if somehow Jadar became an equipment. Pay 1 life, sacrifice another creature, put a -1/-1 counter on up to 1 target creature. Draw a card. Wow. Using our zombies to not only kill things with the counters, but also drawing cards. Phenomenal. So good. And then if we've got a couple of counters knocking about and our planeswalkers are on the field, we can pay double black and discard a card to proliferate. So we put a counter on anything that we want. Really awesome card and works fantastically with the deck. Then, this isn't a specific sack outlet, but it's so good. It's not a permanent, this is a one-shot. Plumb the Forbidden, 2 mana for an instant. As additional cost to cast this spell, you may sacrifice 1 or more creatures. When you do, copy a spell for each creature you sacrifice this way. You draw a card and lose 1 life. I didn't realise quite how much I was trying to hurt myself with this deck, so we're losing more life, but drawing those cards is amazing. Say a board wipe's coming, this is an instant. Oh, okay, you go into Damnation. In response, I'll sacrifice my 8 creatures. I'll draw 9 cards, lose 9 life. Who cares? You've refilled your hands. You're going to be able to deploy more threats. We're going to move up the Eastern Front and attack the Germans. Which brings me on to Ghoulcaller Geezer. 5 mana, 3/4. Human Wizard, pay a black, tap it. Sacrifice another creature. Create X 2/2 black zombie creature tokens where X is sacrificed creature's power. So not that great, if we're sacrificing one of our little decayed zombies, but this gets us, more zombies for the cause. Really great card. And if we're sacrificing something big, like, big old Razaketh over here, we're going to end up with a massive board state of zombies. I'm not sure the sort of, right, okay, we sacrifice Razaketh. Why then do 8 zombies pour out of him? Has he got zombies within him? The humans inside of Razaketh? What's the lore on this? I don't understand. Are we stitching parts of Razaketh into zombies? I don't know. Anyway, Razaketh the Foul-Blooded. 8 mana for an 8/8, flying and trample. Pay 2 life, so again, we're trying to kill ourselves. Sacrifice another creature, so one of our decayed zombies. Search your library for a card, put the card into your hand, and shuffle your library. So this is great if you've got any sort of combination that could win the game. This can just tutor up whatever you want. Then let's have a look at my number 2. Peace, man. At number 2, we've got a Yara First of Locthwain. 3 mana for a 2/3, and these cards are all about pinging our opponents, the aristocrat style of deck. It's an elf noble. When it or another black creature enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. And then you can sacrifice another black creature to draw a card. So the great thing is our tokens, they're always going to be entering the battlefield, or at least you'd suspect they would. So we're going to always be pinging our opponents, gaining life back. Thank God we've hurt ourselves so much, we can finally gain back that life. But we can also sacrifice another black creature. So the token that we make off our commander, we can sacrifice it to draw a card. This card does everything we want it to do. Similarly, we've got Bastion of Remembrance, a 3 mana enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So again, excellent pinger. We're going to be padding our life totals. And, I feel bad for that little 1/1 human. He's just going to be surrounded by loads of zombies, loads of decaying flesh. I'm sure that's not what he enlisted for. I feel bad for the guy. Then there's Bontu the Glorified, another god. 3 mana, 4/6 with Menace Indestructible. Can't attack or block unless a creature died under your controller's turn. And then you can pay 2, sacrifice another creature. Scry 1. Each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So nice little sack outlet. Then we can attack in. A 4/6 Menace is pretty goddamn good. And, it's just a cool little sacrifice outlet that will pad our life total. Finally, Zulaport Cutthroat, 2 mana, 1/1 human rogue ally. Whenever it or another creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. And the great thing is that includes tokens. So when our tokens sacrifice themselves or we get board wiped, we're going to ping everyone to death and we're going to pad our life total. I'm saying pad a lot. I want to go to the paddock. I don't own a horse. 1 mana. No, not 1 mana. In at number 1. Wait, is it 1 mana? Nah, it's 4 mana. Grave Pact. With all this sacrificing of creatures and your things dying, this is a great way to control the board. Enchantment. Whenever a creature controlled dies, each player Each other player sacrifices a creature. So this is just incredible. It'll keep your opponents off the board. And if you happen to be playing against, a Voltron deck, well, this will make their lives utterly miserable. If you just have to sacrifice your zombie or your zombie are just attacked, oh, sacrifice Rafika the Many. Oh, what's that? You crying? Oh, why are you crying? Stop crying. Man up. Stop crying. Although it is miserable to play against. Similarly, there's Dictate of Erebos. 5 mana for an enchantment with flash whenever a creature control dies. Each opponent sacrifices a creature. Oh my god, it's the exact same card. But having redundancy for effects like this is phenomenal. It's a great mono black sort of win condition, just controlling the board completely. Then we've got Reaper from the Abyss. He's come from the Abyss. Poor lad. 6 mana, 6/6 flyer, morbid. At the beginning of each end step, if a creature died this turn, destroy target non-demon creature. That is awesome. I love this card. I used to have a really beaten up copy, like when I very first started, and it just felt so cool, haha, I'll murder that. It's just brilliant. So this is great, especially with all the tokens, the instant speech sacrifice outlets. We could potentially on every one of our opponent's turns and our turn be sort of, going, this is dead, this is dead, this is dead. Ha ha ha, I win the game. Then, oh look, it's another copy of Dictate of Erebos, but Dramatic here. 7 mana for a 5/4 with flying. It's a vampire warrior. And whenever it or another creature you control dies, each opponent sacrifices a creature. We've talked about this. Just get it through your head. It's great, okay? Then, a couple of cool sort of morbid cards here. Morbid, when you cast it, if a creature died this turn, you may copy Malicious Affliction and choose new targets for that copy. Destroy target non-black creature for 2 black. Yes, the non-black creature is bad because if you're playing against another mono black deck or, just black decks in general, obviously you can't kill anything. But 2 mana to destroy 2 things is fantastic. And more than likely, you'll have 2 targets. Then Cavalier of Night is a great little sacrifice outlet / removal spell. 5 mana for a 4/5 lifelinker. It's an elemental knight. And when it enters the battlefield, you sacrifice another creature, so one of our little tokens. When you do, destroy a target creature an opponent controls. Then when it dies, return target creature card with converted mana cost 3 or less from the graveyard to the battlefield. And there's a lot of cool things we can return there. All of our, sort of pingers and stuff like that. They are generally 3 CMC or less. And then we got Massacre Girl, who's just a massive board wipe. 5 mana for a 4/4 with Menace, Human Assassin. And when it enters the battlefield, each other creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn. Whenever a creature dies this turn, each creature other than Massacre Girl gets -1/-1 until end of turn. And the cool thing is, if, everything's gone to hell, we're all, trying to bail water out of the ship, everyone's sinking, the women are crying, getting on the boat, the children are just being thrown overboard, trying to protect everyone. I don't know where this is going. But if, everything's gone to pot and we've got our commander on the field, well, our commander's a 1-drop and then it makes a 2-drop. So that's a 1 and a 2, which means Massacre Girl will at least get to kill 3 drops, and then hopefully it'll just spiral out of control from there and just wipe the board completely. And those are my top 5 picks for Jadar. Really, really quite cool, a nice aristocrat style of deck. I like the way he plays, and the fact that he comes down on turn 2 is brilliant. I love a cheap commander, so quite useful, I'd say. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please do like, comment, and subscribe. Maybe tattoo my face on top of your face, if you so desire. I'll see you soon. Bye.